Okay, today I'm in the back of the panel van trying to sort out some stuff. So when as time goes by, older cars sort of there's things on them that get changed, and newer cars have new features, and new drivers tend to recognize those features and don't understand what's going on if those things aren't around. So my example for this is reversing lights. On this car, I think from memory, Swords, you can tell me, the Premiers were the only ones that came with a reversing light from factory, and then it just lit up both rear indicators, which most new people would look at and not recognize anyway. They're used to seeing a bright white light for reversing. So what I've got is bunch of these little LEDs. I don't know if they're going to work or not. I'm going to test them. I've got some other, like some fog lights that I can mount. The idea of all this stuff is I don't really want to see it. It's not, I don't think it looks very nice. So I'm going to try and figure something out where it doesn't really sort of take away from the look of the car too much. That's the good thing about these. They're very small. These are like 3/4 of an inch around, 19.05 millimeters. For those who need to give a shit, and I can tuck them up underneath the bumperettes here and just point them at the ground, and then put two just either side of the number plate, so there's a really good indication of this person's selected reverse. I've been driving the car a whole lot, and I found I went to the shops the other day, grabbed some takeaway, and when I pulled to reverse park, someone went straight up my bum. Like, you know, they didn't hit me obviously, but they parked right up my ass because they didn't know that I was actually backing up, because there's nothing on the car to say it. Now, it doesn't require that by law because of the age of the vehicle. There's some things you need to bring up to spec and other things you don't. So I'm adding them to it. I think, I'm not even sure if it's an ADR to have reversing lights. I know that if they're on the car, they have to perform. So these aren't on the car, no problem. I want to put them on just because people understand what you're doing when they're on there. So yeah, so I'm in the back of it. Now, past Micka, I think he knew this would be a problem later, and he actually ran an extra cord from the front to the back. Present Micka is going to have to try and dig that out and find out if past Micka's memory is as good as it's supposed to be, or if I'm just making shit up. But look, it's not a big drama to run an extra one if I need to. The other thing I'd like to do is put in the top of the tailgate, I'd like to put a third brake light. So I've got an OG tail light lens here, right? So my idea is just to mount this upside down up against the glass from the back, and just run a light in that. Now that can just, like, it can go up there real easy. It doesn't need anything. Just can sit straight against the glass and just shine through it, and make sure then you know, like, again, it's another thing. People are used to seeing it now. If I put that in there, it's just a bit extra safety for me, stopping my car from getting smashed by monkeys. That's about it. Again, on this, got a bit of a day planned. I've already fixed the power windows, so a couple of bung relays in there, replaced them. She's all working now. I've also wired it so it's permanent powered, so you don't have to turn on the ignition to wind down the windows, because that was just friggin' annoying. And what else? I redid the heater tap. So I was talking to Swords because it leaked. Just because I've put this thing together over so many years, and shit just sits there and shrinks down, and, you know, goes hard and whatever. So I had to tighten up all the hose clamps. It was leaking onto my foot. So what I've actually done is moved that tap into the engine bay. I wasn't going to put it in the engine bay. I was going to put it up under the guard, but the problem is under the guard on the left-hand side is the return side so it's the water out from the heater, and you really want the tap on the inside. You want to shut that off, and I mean, there's a small chance that flow can happen, like just an eddy, I suppose. An eddy current can build up. It's super rare, and as the heat heats up in the water, it does pass along the water right up through to the core eventually. Now, it'd take a long time, and it wouldn't be anything that would really, create a problem. But this way, if I've got the heater tap in, it's just in the engine bay. I can get the cable straight out through the same hole the heater hose is out through. I can wrap the end of that and make it look all nice and hide the tap. The tap's just an inline gates one, so it sits up snug against the block. I'll show you that when I'm working on it. But yeah, so I'm just trying to get through a bunch of shit, and I don't think I'll get to the third brake light today. That'll be future Micka, but that's easy. The wiring's in here. I just got to splice into it and send it up. What I do need to do is get the hazard lights wired today as well. It's another one of those things, people don't understand what's going on. So if you've got hazard lights, it's a lot more visible and easier to understand for people who don't know, that some cars never had hazard lights. So yeah, I've got a nice switch for that. Bought a new multimeter because I ran over my old one, and I'm just gonna, I'm colorblind, as everyone knows, but I don't actually know the function of this switch. It should be a normally closed, normally open switch. So what you do is you run normally closed, you loop the power you loop the ignition switched power through the normally closed circuit, and then you run and then when you turn the switch on, it opens that circuit and closes a permanent power and that's the switch, the power that goes to the flasher, and then so it activates the flasher either on switched power through the hazard switch or on permanent power through the hazard switch. But when it activates permanent power, it disconnects that switch power so that it doesn't just make the rest of the entire car live off permanent power. So I've got to wire that in. It's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's not difficult. Anyway, features. Oh, cool. Right, I've hooked 4 of these bad boys together. Just running some power. So I'm gonna give them a little test. Bing. Ooh. I think these out each side should do. 2 out each side. Sort of pointed down at the ground from under the bumperettes, and 2 coming straight out next to the number plate. Should be good. Alright, good people. Another episode of why shit takes Micka so long to do. So these are my little LEDs for the reversing lights, and the back of those is just alley. I'm cutting some adhesive foam into little strips like this to just make a little gasket to go behind it. That's just purely for making sure there's no rattles, because they're outside the external, they're not. I'll need to put grommets through from the wires into the internal, but there you go, that's why this shit takes me so long. Well, that only took forever. In hindsight, I reckon the 2 in the middle would have done it. They're bright as, but got 2 there, 2 at the other side as well, so let me tell you a little something about past Micka. He has this nasty habit of going, future Micka's problem, and then I have to deal with it. This one time, he has fucking excelled himself. He has run this line because he knew in the future he'd want reversing lights. And he poked it out just there. And present Micka, that's me, just tested it and it works. So now I don't have to run a cord from here all the way through all the shit to the front. It's already there. Thanks, past Micka. The end of the saga. What a friggin' day. Alright, it's dark, it's late. I've done the reversing lights. I fixed my window. Fuck, my brain's not even working. And I did the hazard switch. It's all in, it all works. Big Saturday, I'm cooked. My ear's still fucked.